Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to just be a quick, simple, short one, not too long. We're just going to go over the recent update that's happening called Patch Notes 0.63, as I've titled the deck. So pretty much all the cards that are being changed are in this deck right now. The only one that isn't in this list, which I will pull up right now, is Merlin. So we'll just do a quick rundown on what's specifically being changed here. So there are no actual proper changes to the effects of any of the cards. What's really happening with this patch note is just minor adjustments to power, toughness, or mana cost. So with Merlin, he's getting a 2-point increase in power, so now he's going to be able to deal more damage in combat, and that's pretty much it. So of the 5/5 stat, they'll see how that goes with this change. Nothing else changes with Merlin. I think it just lets him put out a little more extra damage in general when in combat. I have no idea. I'm adding a deck. Anyway, so let's have a look at the list of cards here. So first up, getting a buff is King Arthur. He's now going to be a 7-drop that'll be 7/7. 2 points increase on both attack and toughness. I'm curious if that is to reflect what I don't know if it's still going to change in October. Supposedly this is the old effect. His old effect of give shield to all your good characters to being before combat. If your character has an on reveal, trigger that on reveal. That's sort of what the whole point of the new effect that I remember hearing into. So don't know if it's supposed to be a 7/7/7 at that retrospect to reflect that change coming. Otherwise, he's still going to be this effect. But King Arthur being a 7/7, you know, that's decently strong for a 7-drop. So it gives him a bit of extra staying power on the field. You know, he is kind of like that boss big one you would drop because you just give him shield and he comes with shield. So good power outage from King Arthur. Thumbelina is getting a increase in her toughness, so she'll just be a 1-drop 2/2. Nothing different, nothing crazy there, just an extra survivability on Thumbelina who has no effect. So, you know, nice change there. Rumpel is going to be a 2/2 going forward. So Rumpel will actually be able to survive a bit longer. Effect change stays the same, mana cost stays the same, giving you the extra mana and has more survivability and damage. Sandman, I'm not too sure about this one. So he's staying as a 2 cost. He's now going to be, he's losing a point of power, so he's going to be 1, but he's gaining that in toughness, so he's going to be a 1/3, which allows Sandman to survive 1 or 2 combats, give or take how often you're putting to block him. So I guess they thought that Sandman was obviously well and truly targeted. If you know your opponent's casting a lot of spells, get rid of the Sandman. And maybe they want to ensure that Sandman lives. You know, you kind of get some value out of him. Honestly, you kind of just play him on your opponent's turn. Hopefully nothing happens to him. And on your next turn, all your spells are discounted by 1. But that's all you need half the time to just cast a crap ton of spells. Depending what you're looking at, could be 5 spells in one go. I think he probably should have received a cost increase, at least a 3, maybe, but as a 1/3, he's going to survive. So I think it's a buff, realistically speaking. Yeah, he loses a point of power, but he has more survivability, and you want Sandman to stay on the board to keep casting spells. So Sandman is sort of like, pretty sure is like a high value target, and he still dies to a bullseye, so you know, Sandman getting a little bit of love just so that he can survive. You get some value out of your spells a bit longer. But, you know, he's still kind of a threat. White Queen, she's getting a point of power increase. So she's going to be 3/3. She's still going to cost 4. Pretty sure, albeit from the bots, I'm not sure how many people really play this card. I don't think she really ever saw that much play. Maybe in the beginning, but I don't think anyone really plays this card. Not as much as other cards. So they gave it a point of power. I think they want to increase those odds. I think realistically, shave a mana cost off her to 3. If she's a 3 cost, probably would see a little more play, like return any character to its owner's hand. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like this will probably see better value once we get to October. and, you know, when we get the proper release and all that, because there'll probably be other decks to utilize the on-reveal return any character. Yes, you could run it on Mulan, but I really don't think anyone runs this card. I think there's just better choices in general. So point of power for the White Queen, that's cool. I think shaving a mana cost would be also really good for her. Lancelot. Lancelot's getting a nice little buff. He's now going to be a 4/4. Nothing's changing, and mana cost stays the same. So Lancelot just gets that improved survivability now, as well as just buffing your good characters when you play them in the location with him. So being a 4/4, I think that's fine. And that just makes Lancelot just, yeah, a little bit better. I think we're probably going to see more Lancelot in decks, just because if you're utilizing good characters, specifically only good, you get the value out of him. Christopher Robin. I think it was a worthwhile change. So Chris is losing a point of power, but he's gaining a point of toughness. Now, the characters that have no effects realistically probably shouldn't be statted so well when it comes to damage. Specifically, like Chris was just doing a lot of damage, I think, at 5. It's a lot. So I think shaving off a point of power, dropping it to a 4, giving him it in toughness instead, yeah, it makes him survive longer. It's just that 4 damage is probably not as bad as 5. 4 damage is still low, no laughing matter. 4 damage is a lot, but it's not as bad as I think it was, realistically speaking. It's just very easy for this to deal 5 damage if not blocked or being able to take care of, because, you know, it's just a character that has no effect. So him now having 5 toughness makes him get around the axe throw now, which means, yes, you would need to put a little bit of extra resource into blocking him, but, you know, the damage output from Chris, realistically, I don't think is going to be that bad at 4, especially for a character with no effect. Old MacDonald. Now, Old MacDonald, realistically speaking, I don't think sees any play at all. Kind of like White Queen. Rarely played. 5 mana is awkward enough to play, especially in the aspect of a discard deck where discards really aren't that prominent as an archetype in currently right now. So Old MacDonald is going to be a 4 cost now, which is good, and he's getting a point in power and toughness. So Old MacDonald's getting a nice change all around. So hopefully that improves the playability. If not now, I would say when we get to October. But, you know, being a 4 cost 4/4, I think it's probably easier to play Old MacDonald, and, like, you know, potentially trying to get a trigger effect of like discarding to shuffle pumpkins into your opponent's deck for that burn damage should they ever draw into the pumpkins. This is just something that's just not happening as of right now, but, you know, a nice change is coming to Old MacDonald, and I'm all for it. Bridge Troll is getting a point of power increase. Bridge Troll's, honestly, I've come to realize, a pretty good card. I hadn't played it often, but after a while, I've started putting it in 1 or 2 decks, and I was like, you know what, Bridge Troll's good. It's a good defender, he's got a good stat line, he's now getting an increase, so he's going to be better stat line of being a defender, and being able to just pump out the extra damage. So, you know, being 5/6, is able to dish out the damage. So I think this is a nice change to Bridge Troll, just making him a little bit stronger. Bigfoot. Bigfoot is losing a point in toughness. Bigfoot's now slightly weaker. But I think that's only fair. You know, it's a 5-drop with 6 power that can trample through stuff. So him being 3, I think, is only fair in that retrospect, because you might be able to actually get rid of it and take the trample damage in 1 attack instead of potentially Bigfoot surviving 1 to 2 attacks, or 2 to more, give or take. But he now dies to a bullseye. You don't have to, that's 1 mana weakness to it. But I think that's fair because, you know, this is a nice statted drop for 5 mana to trample through and deal 6 damage, or depending how much I'm getting rid of stuff. So nerf to Bigfoot, but I think it's warranted on that aspect. Bandersnatch, I'm not entirely sure, but I think I understand it, just because Bandersnatch can just be played in any lane, and you've got this big thing that has trample, and it's hard to deal with, give or take. Cost isn't being changed, but Bandersnatch is losing a point in power and toughness. Now it's going to be 7/7. Everything stays the same. I'm wondering, I think just because it is such an easy play for, I mean, it is 8 mana. It's an investment of 8 mana to get out a Trampler. But I think dropping both set to 7/7, it probably allows you to survive this a bit easier in handling Bandersnatch. So, yeah. Possibly a warrant change, making it a little bit weaker, but it's still not a laughing matter. Like, this is still a pretty boss creature to drop late game with Trample 7/7 coming through. So, still respectable, I think, in that retrospect, but the point toughness off, yeah, that might actually nerf it a little bit, to the point that it's probably not going to be the most obvious thing you go for. The most obvious one you probably would go for will be Ellen, but Ellen, if I pull it up specifically, Ellen wants you to play them, in a lane full of enemy minions, because then you get the bonus. You want to play this. You are heavily incited to play it in a 3 minion lane that your enemy has, so that you get the most maximum profit out of this, and going to be a 12/12 for the same cost that has trample. And then it's if you play with on-reveal shenanigans with Milan, that is 18 power on top with trample. A lot of value. And that's a pretty boss monster to drop down in a lane. But, you have to play it to get the maximum value. You want to play it where you see 3 characters and you'd be like, all right, dropping it here. Maximum potential damage. But that's fair in that retrospect. Like, I want to get value out of that. Next one is Merlin's Prophecy. Finally, this got nerfed. This was too good at 1. It's still good. Too good not being tied to just Merlin, but whatever. We'll see if the nerf puts it in a fair spot. So Merlin's Prophecy now is going to be 2 cost mana. So now Sandman can't reduce this to 0, because that was nuts. Especially being able to copy whatever the heck you wanted to. At 0 cost, thanks to Sandman. So potentially, I think this nerf will probably, put the Prophecy in its place for a little bit. It's still going to be a very good card to play. It's just not going to be dumb by being 0 cost thanks to Sandman. So this getting a point of a cost increase to 2, I think that's fair. Worthwhile, honestly. Thank you for that change, because this was nuts. And another buff over here to blow the house down. This is now going to be a 4 cost spell. I think that actually puts it in a better spot. This is good to basically board wipe your opponent in a zone. Only in a zone, not the whole board, not the whole board state, but just all the enemies in this location. You choose, if you're able to pull this off on a creature, that's good, that's got 4 power or 5 power. Honestly, that's enough to remove a lot of characters in that location. Most likely, you kind of board wipe that mini zone. Now, this being a 4 cost, I think we'll see more play out of Blow the House Down. I definitely saw a few of it, and I definitely used it. But I think we'll see more out of it now, that it being a 4 cost and not being 5. 5 could be a bit odd to play here and there, but honestly, at 4, a little bit easier to play, I won't lie. But yeah. That was the patch notes for 0.63. This is happening tomorrow or a couple hours. I don't know the time frame specifically, but it is happening just prior to the tournament that is happening on the 29th. I still need to submit my decks. I have not submitted the decks. I figured I have time. Didn't realize there was a patch note coming out until 2 days ago. I was like, oh, it's probably and I'm thinking it's a good thing I didn't rush in to make a deck, because the patch notes are happening. Now I can actually reconfigure some decks I've already made. So I'm going to have to go through them. I've got the 3 decks, at least I've chosen, and I'm going to readjust them accordingly now with the patch notes. So, yes, this will be interesting. I think overall these were some good changes were happening here. Questioning maybe 1 or 2, give or take. Maybe 3, who knows? But I think overall, look, these were good changes. I definitely think that it's going to change up a couple things, and we'll see how things go going forward. But anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think. patch notes for 0.63. We are ready for this tournament on Friday, on the 29th. Not Friday, on the 29th. It's Saturday morning for me, this tournament. I'm assuming I have to wake up at the crack of dawn again. That's going to be fun. It'll be fun. It's going to be great. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Whenever that is, whatever the heck I'm trying to build. I have no idea. But I'll probably stream tomorrow? No, I don't even know if we can stream tomorrow. Game's going down for a good couple hours. We'll see what happens. I need to figure out the time ratio for this patch. I don't think they specified exactly when it's going down. Did they say? No, they didn't. Oh, well. So here we go. So planned downtime will be 3 a.m. until 7 a.m. This is supposedly a shorter one because they want people to at least get the game back up and running, ready, people to play through at least before the tournament. So 3 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah, so 3 a.m. from now. And then it should be back up on 7? And that's plenty of time. So that'll be fine. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video. Please take care. Enjoy yourselves. Learn what you think. And I'm out of here. Bye-bye.